Ankit sir. A very good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
All good, all good. Sir, welcome to Campus to Corporate. To everyone who's watching, today we have Mr. Ankit Choudhary, who is a senior manager at EY India with over 9 years of experience in consulting, specialized in risk-based concurrent audits, internal audits, and process improvements. He has led significant audits and reviews for top steel and manufacturing companies. Mr. Ankit's expertise spans project risk management, SOX implementation, and developing standard operating procedures across multiple sectors. Today, we welcome him to share his deep insights and expertise, particularly in internal auditing and consulting within the industrial and manufacturing sectors. So, sir, in this section of Campus to Corporate, we aim to bridge the gap between the academic life and the corporate world through the past learning and experience of seasoned professionals. That was a brief
Thank you.
introduction that we prepared for you. Hope you liked it.
Thank you for this brief introduction.
Uh, so, sir, we'll start on with the questions. The first questions that we and the students would love to have an answer from you is, what are the expectations which like the corporates have from a consultant fresh out of a B school? Like, how can the students improvise themselves? What kind of courses or soft skills or hard skills can they acquire before joining corporates?
So, since you are freshers on the consulting department or the domain that I work in or I specialize in, we do not really have a set expectation from anybody. What we look for is a person should be confident in what he speaks. So, what we examine while interviewing or while interviewing a candidate from a B school would be how confident is he or she while answering to our questions, be it technical or non-technical? Plus, what is the zeal of that person to work? So, our department or my work involves a lot of, you know, uh, travel, maybe, to even remote locations. And many a times it may so happen that, people get demotivated with the hours that are being put and depending on the pressure that we have. So, technical knowledge is something that you can gain with an on-ground experience. But what we're looking for is that the person should have the zeal to learn. There is a lot to learn that we have in our department. Lot of exposure is there. A person should be able to willing to work so that he gains the maximum out of that exposure that we are giving them. So the first and the foremost thing that we look for is the zeal to work. The person should be motivated and willing to put in those extra efforts or willing to put in those efforts to excel in our department. So that is the first and the basic thing that we look at, and then comes after the technical. So yes, we do prefer people who have some sort of an understanding of what maybe a process is. So as you had highlighted during my briefing also, these are risk-based audits. So that person should understand what a risk is, how a business runs, what are the different risks that are there in the business, and should have an open mind about, uh, so if I put in common sense, it's about common sense. Our job or our domain is common sense. How good you are in applying common sense and your knowledge in whatever we ask you, that's the second point. Yes, these are the two things that we look for. And once we find that, then the person comes across to us.
Right, sir. So basically, what we definitely look at is the zeal to learn, and the classroom sessions or the classroom learning that we acquire here at B schools is definitely required for some basic knowledge to go into the consulting domain or any domain for
Right.
that. Part. Agreed, sir. All
Correct.
right. So moving on to the next question. Our next question is, what keeps the consultings in a consulting and strategy firm going? Like, what is the key motivational aspect in your job? Is it like the client appreciation, wherein you work in a client facing job? Or is it the internal commendation that you receive from the stakeholders, or any other internal or personal factor that keeps you going?
So actually, it's both the factors that you have mentioned. One being the client appreciation or the client uh, accolades that we get, and also an internal recognition of what we're doing. So both are interlinked. Since our job is consulting and it is more client centric, If the client is satisfied with what we are doing or the solutions that we are giving them to their various problems, it is bound that you will gain internal accolades as well. And the better you perform, the faster you grow. Ultimately, what all of us are for in consulting is growth. And growth will not come if your clients are not satisfied with the work you've done. So, at the utmost priority is the client satisfaction. Once the client is happy, the internal management is happy. And once the internal management is happy, you get your growth path, and your growth path is clear. So, the end goal. So, if I talk about myself, when I started into the consulting firm 9 years ago, my end goal was to keep climbing up the professional ladder and reach the highest point possible. Now, that would not have been possible if I did not have uh, the client appreciations or the client feedbacks that were given to me. So, client feedback is the utmost priority, and then everything falls into place, or everything is subsequent or a result of the client appreciation. So, yes, utmost is the client appreciation, and then this. And yes, also being able to manage everything and also having a work-life balance. So it depends on the person also as to how he or she can maintain his work and his professional and his personal life at the same time. So it's a mix of that. And once all of this is achieved, then a person can go, yes. But one thing that happens in consulting is a person should not be demotivated. It is very easy to feel demotivated in a consulting department because you might end up working at a client for a extended period of say 1 year or more, and there might be a point in your career or in your uh, uh, professional life where you start feeling that everything is becoming monotonous. So it's not actually monotonous. You keep learning everything anew each and every day. There's always a new learning that comes with your experience. So being motivated is important. And yes, even though there is certain times when there will be monotony in your job, but that's a part of learning. So trying to keep yourself motivated through those phases. There will be a few ups and downs. Like I do say client appreciation is important. There might be certain days when you do not get a positive client feedback. But seeing those days and still being motivated and putting in those efforts to convert those negative or not so favorable feedbacks into positive feedbacks is something that keeps a consultant growing. So
Right.
keeping yourself motivated is also one important aspect which can help you climb the ladder. And as you are growing, you are getting the satisfaction of being in the job because you feel, you know, important. You feel that your work is getting recognized. So keeping yourself motivated to get positive client feedbacks, which in turn helps your growth. This is how I would like to uh, put it across.
Right. So, as you said, in majority of the cases, it's the client feedback or the client appreciation that drives the internal commendation as well. So there might be cases since consultants work across various clients in like the span of in their span of work life. So how is it that like for example, if we are working at a client who is not that uh, they do not showcase their appreciation that much, or maybe a client wherein they are really like good at appreciating the work. So in case I am putting in the hard work and I'm going to that extra mile, but the client is not that appreciative, how should I work with that? Like, do we still get rewarded around that, or is it like okay, it only depends upon that?
No, 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 no. It does not depend only on that. Right? Good you asked this question. There are certain clients which do not appreciate your work at all. You might have come across certain clients like that. Even I have across my entire uh, consulting career. But at the end of the day, if your deliverable is up to the client expectations, and clients who do not have a tendency to give a positive feedback. If they don't come up with anything negative or anything which is not positive, I would like to rather term as a not positive. That also is something that we take into consideration because even the team that we work with, maybe our seniors, they also know how a client is. So if we are doing our work diligently, and we have covered all the bases that are required to be covered. And we have delivered what the client expected us to deliver, and still the client does not come up with a positive feedback, does not mean that you will not grow in the professional career. So you need to show the confidence in the work that you have delivered. If you are able to confidently portray that you have covered all your bases and everything that was required to be covered in an assignment, if I say, then also that helps you grow internally as well. So it's on
Got it.
you how you portray it, or
Thank you so much, sir, for your detailed feedback and sharing your personal experiences in between as well to showcase how it actually works in the corporate environment. So, moving on to the next question. Can you describe a particularly challenging consulting project where you worked on and you had, like, how you approached the solving the client's problem?
there are different challenges that you face. Sometimes the challenges are more regarding the timelines or the client expectations. At the end of the day, the client may come up and give you certain unrealistic expectations, or uh, coming up with timelines which are very hard to meet. At the end of the day, the client is satisfied if you are able to give him the work within time. His expected work within the expected time. So I do come across such situations now that initially, so there are different stages. When you are at a junior position, what I used to do was doing some smart work. So if I have certain stringent timelines, there are different, you know, methods that you can use to maybe, do the work smartly and achieve your goal in a shortened period of time. So at the execution level, it was more on how you could work smartly, because all of us have a limited time frame in which we work. So how you could work smartly and utilize that time one so as to achieve your client expectations within the timeline. And the higher you move, then it becomes, so if the higher you climb up the ladder and you reach a position where I am right now, then maybe in my case it is more of sitting down with the client and trying to explain to him that these are few things that can be done within this time. This is something that cannot be done within this time. And if you need, and your expectations are beyond what was initially agreed between us. So if you want us to do this, you have to give us certain extra leverage or certain extra time, space, or something like that. So it depends on our client interactions also. So if you ask me now, there has been a situation where we started off with an assignment, and initial plan was to finish the assignment within 6 months. And then the client came up saying that we do not have this much of time. You need to now finish off this assignment within 3 months and not 6 months. And he was very stern on these timelines for some reasons. So then it was up to me and my team. My role was to try and explain the client that, whatever you are trying to achieve within 6 months is not possible. And also at the same time, keeping my team motivated that, I know the time frame has shortened. So maybe trying to keeping them motivated to ensure that you do the work that was expected initially in 6 months to in 3 months. Maybe putting in some more team members to get the job done. At the same time, trying to explain the rationale to the client and reduce his expectations as well, because certain unrealistic things. So you need to know when to say a no. It's not that since the client has onboarded us, everything he says becomes a mandate for us. So explaining the client where he's going wrong, where certain things which he's saying are acceptable to us, and finding out a midway to get to, so that the engagement can be completed within the as per the client satisfaction, and also at the same time not burdening my team members with additional work. So we've had long discussions. Personally had a long discussion with the clients, multiple rounds, trying to rationalize their expectations and bringing it to a common ground, and also so that my team also can get the work delivered and even the client expectations are met. So it's more of a dialogue once you reach at a higher level. But yes, even at the junior level, it's not that, what we expect from our team members is not to be yes men. That if my manager or my senior has told me to do this, I have to do this. Even I keep learning from my juniors. They come up and tell us that, what you've agreed to is something which is not possible. Since they are working on the ground, they know more about the client integrity. So my job is to understand from my team members also. And what I expect from them is to be open and say that this can be done, this cannot be done. So this is something that, we expect from our team members also to open up and voice their opinion also. So that even that is taken into consideration and then portrayed or expressed to the client or communicated to the client so that all of us at the end of the day do not suffer and the end goal of putting across a good deliverable or a good solution to the client's problem is achieved. So this is
Got
how
it, sir.
I expect my team and me personally to handle such client situations or difficult expectations.
Right, sir. So we get that, during difficult times, it is all about stakeholder management. It's not just clients, it's not just our team members, it's not just our seniors. You have to balance it out across levels and maintain it accordingly. And we should also sometimes learn to say no, in case the situation is not that acceptable to us.
Correct.
Right. Got it, sir.
And
So,
this is
so
something that I
moving.
have learned. This is something that comes with experience, right? Because even when I joined, for me, it was whatever is told to me by my senior, I need to achieve that, I need to do it. Because my perception initially was if I do whatever my senior tells me, maybe I will be able to meet the expectations and then go off. But that is not how it is. Because sometimes expectations are unrealistic. So you need to learn when to voice your concerns and when to voice your opinion. Once you start doing that, you will automatically grow in your professional career also.
Right. So thank you, sir. That was a very valuable insight that you gave from your corporate experience. I don't think that many people would like share this like so openly. So thank you so much for that. I think all of the viewers will appreciate this, like the little fact that you just said right now. So moving on to the next question. So how do you see the role of technology and data analytics evolving in consulting? Then what skills should students focus on to stay relevant? Like, how do you think Gen AI has impacted consulting? Do you think they can replace consultants, or like how should like the new
It's
generation
not
cope up
about
with that?
it's not about replacing consultants. Yes, Gen AI is a benefit, or not a benefit, but maybe it's a tool that consultants can use to more efficiently manage their time and obtain the end result. But yes, I am a strong believer of the fact that Gen AI cannot replace consultants because at the end of the day, our the clients they expect solutions from us taking into consideration the practicality, the scenarios or the conditions prevailing in the world. Gen AI may or may not be able to do that. So there is this human touch which everybody does expect. So it's not that Gen AI, with the advent of Gen AI, the roles of the consultants reduces. No, but it eases the way a consultant works, and it has somehow, if you use it properly, it somehow eases the workload on the consultants also. So if they go, both of them go hand in hand, you can achieve better results in better time. So not something that, I personally do not believe that Gen AI can replace a consultant, but yes, if you use it properly, you can maybe grow better and you can be able to solve the client's problems or give them a solution in a much better and a more precise or a concise way.
Got it. So, sir, what you suggest is go hand in hand and work collaboratively and
Right.
smartly with Gen AI instead of depending on it totally.
Correct.
Uh,
Yes, obviously, because the practicality of situation. So yes, Gen AI may come up and tell you that, if you do A and not B, your results would be achieved in a much better way. but it may practically not be possible for you to use the way A. So that is something where the consultant comes in, that, even though Gen AI may predict or Gen AI may suggest you to do something in a particular way, if it is not possible, you find some other solution. So that is the human touch that comes in. So at the end of the day, both of them need to go hand in hand.
Right. So any technology or data analytics, like, and what skills, anything that the student should focus on to stay relevant? Like we
Data
are
and
being taught
in if
Python or Power BI in our or during our course. So how is that
yes,
much relevant?
Py- Python and Power BI and all of these data analytics reduce the efforts that we have to put in. So if I have to do one particular assessment, say 10 times, instead of spending my manpower for doing it 10 times, I use Power BIs or Python so that the end result is achieved in a shorter span. I just need to define in the logic, put in the data, and the results come out immediately. So yes, data analytics and uh, other platforms. Basically, data analytics, since I personally have used data analytics on my assignment, yes, it does help you stay relevant, but in what sense, relevancy in what sense? Using data analytics, you can derive conclusions, or the management is more the conclusions that the management wants, or if I say the MISs that we prepare. So using Power BI, we are able to showcase what we are trying to say in a very concise and a crisp manner. So instead of going through long reports or long procedures or documents that we prepare, everything that a client wants can be shown on a single page. So yes, that does help you. And if you were learning it, yes. But for me, it is more on the ERPs that we use. So if I am not able to feed the data correctly in the Power BI tool or logic, the results will not come out. So it's not just Power BI, but understanding how the client data works and then arranging it in a particular way so that your data analytics tool can give you the desired results is something that is more important. Now, how a client data works will only be understood if you understand the different ERPs that they use, say maybe an SAP or an Oracle or other ERP. So understanding the logic. So this is where I told you maybe that human touch is required. If I do not feed the correct data into any system, I am not getting my desired result. So learning it or learning how to use a tool is important, but more important, what as for me, is understanding what I need to feed to the tool so that I can achieve the end result. So this
Got it.
is where the role of a consultant comes in, as to understanding what the client problem is, how, because all your problem and solutions need to be backed by some sort of data or some sort of facts and figures. So understanding their ERP or the accounting package, what they use, or understanding what are the different sources of data, arranging the data in a particular way is the role of a consultant. And then your tools or your AI comes into picture where, maybe after arranging the data in and formulating a dashboard or your solution, which a consultant, while doing it manually, may spend 2 or 3 days, your Power BIs or your other Gen AI tools maybe would do it in half an hour. So they have eased your work, but only and only if you give them the correct input. So it's not just data analytics, but also trying to understand what needs to be fed into the tools to get the desired results. That is what is important.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much for elaborating it in such a, like, it's nicely put it so much. Thank you so much for that. So moving on to the last question for this session, what advice would you give to new consultants on building and maintaining strong client relationships?
Again, the discussions that we have had, somewhere or the other, all the answers lie in this. You do not have to be a yes man to your client, because when a client comes up to you and he brings a problem to you, he does not know what the solution is, and that is why hence he is coming up to you. So he would not exactly know whether what he is thinking will help him reach the solution that he needs. So you need to be able to guide him. So understanding what the client problem is, trying to figure out what the solution is, and maybe, also be in a position to say a no to the client that, if you are expecting this, you cannot achieve it with what you are thinking. You need to change your mindset or your thought process. So that is what will keep you relevant, because maybe the solution that the client wants is something that he has not figured as to how to reach to that solution. So you need to be able to guide him and show him the path that if you do this or if you do this, you can achieve your end result or you can achieve the answer to your problem. So this is how it is more. Yes, the consultant should be able to communicate properly. And by communicate, I mean, not just say things like, if you do this, you can do this. If you do this, just without basing it on certain facts or certain data or numbers or figures or, so understanding the process, you need to keep your eyes open, your ears open. So that you can listen to their problems, understand what they are currently doing and where certain tweaks are needed, and then give them a solution or a solution which solves their problem.
Right.
So you should be a good listener. You should have your ears here and your eyes open. You should be able to communicate properly, and do not be afraid in, saying a no or maybe thinking 10 times before putting across a solution. All of us are humans, we do make mistakes and we learn from them. But until and unless we put forward our point of view or our thought process, how will we know whether we are going in the right direction or the wrong? So having continuous dialogues with the client. Like for me, if I want to achieve the end result, it's a very effective practice wherein you are interacting regularly with the clients, because that helps you understand the client business better. Even
Right.
for us, there may be a situation where we are moving in with a preconceived notion that things move like this, and we've derived an entire solution out of it. But if we are not having continuous dialogue with the client, we may not know that our thought is only wrong. So having continuous dialogues and where we put all of this up, so we can customize our solutions as per the client business and processes, and hence we can achieve the end results. So this is
Got
how I believe you can do it. Yeah.
got it. Thank you so much, sir. With this, we conclude the questions for this episode of Campus to Corporate with Mr. Ankit Chaudhary. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. And I'm sure that the learnings from your journey will stay with our viewers for an indefinite period of time. Stay tuned for more such insightful sessions where you learn directly from seasoned industry professionals to enhance your professional journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe and join us for the next session as we continue to connect campus to the corporate world. Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.